Hello everybody, Julie McCullough here at Elmwood Cemetery. In my opinion, one of the most beautiful places in the city of Memphis. Hang on and I'll turn the camera around to give you a better view. Established in 1852, Elmwood Cemetery was one of the first rural garden cemeteries in the South. 75,000 people are buried here. Beneath the ancient elms, oaks, and magnolias lay the most honored and revered. Flowering dogwoods and crepe myrtles are interspersed with Memphis history, those famous and infamous, loved and feared. There are veterans from every American war. There are people from every walk of life and every culture. Generals, senators and governors, mayors, madams and murderers, and of course, perfectly ordinary citizens are all here. Elmwood is a place for all people. It is Memphis history. This cottage serves as office space for Elmwood as well as holding its archives. It was built in 1866 in the Carpenter Gothic style of architecture, and that bell has been rung for funeral processions since the 1870s. This is the grave of Marion Scudder Griffin. She was the first female attorney in the state of Tennessee and the first woman elected to Tennessee House of Representatives in 1922. This monument was erected in memory of the steamboat disaster on the Mississippi River on April 27, 1865, just north of Memphis. The luxury steamer Sultana's massive boilers exploded. The disaster claimed over 1,500 lives, a death toll exceeding that of the Titanic. It was the largest maritime disaster in U.S. history. I haven't done any research on this monument, but it does say Fire Company number 5. Apparently they were known as the Invincible. These deaths were in the 1800s. It says the 21 firefighters buried here devoted their lives to the people of Memphis. Their service and sacrifice must never be forgotten. So shout out to our first responders. Thank you for all you do. Okay, y'all, this is a teachable moment for me because I've been to Elmwood so many times and I find myself in an area that I just don't recognize. I don't recall this area, but this particular mausoleum right here is the oldest mausoleum in the cemetery. It was erected in 1853, also in the Gothic style of architecture. And boys and girls, a mausoleum is an above ground structure that holds multiple graves, typically of an entire family. Here lies A.W. Willis Jr. He was the first African American elected to the Tennessee state legislature. He was an attorney, a banker, and a civil rights activist. A. Maceo Walker was an African-American businessman in Memphis. He expanded the Universal Life Insurance Company and Tri-State Bank, which was started by his father, Joseph E. Walker, and family members were founders of Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church, and this is where the Walker family is buried. This is an impressive monument. It's the mausoleum for the Church family. Robert R. Church Sr. was the first African-American millionaire in the Mid-South. There's a park on Bill Street dedicated in his honor, and he was a pioneer businessman, a distinguished citizen of Memphis, and family members were organizers of the Memphis branch of the NAACP. This is the Grosvenor Monument. It was erected by Charles Niles Grosvenor family, real estate leaders in 19th century Memphis. This is one of my favorite spots in the cemetery. For those of you that are familiar with the Tom Cruise movie, The Firm, this monument was featured in the funeral scene in The Firm. Meet John Overton. John Overton was mayor of Memphis in the late 1800s. His grandfather was one of the 3 founders of Memphis, also named John Overton. The 3 founders of Memphis being John Overton, James Winchester, and Andrew Jackson, who of course later went on to become the 7th President of the United States. Here lies Reverend Dr. Benjamin Hooks and his wife Frances. Dr. Hooks was a prominent Memphis attorney. He was executive director of the NAACP, a Baptist minister, and a civil rights activist. His wife Frances was also a civil rights activist, a community volunteer, and a school teacher. Thank y'all so much for joining me on this virtual field trip of Elmwood Cemetery. Thank you, Martha McFarland, for your assistance on this project. Thank you, Elmwood Cemetery, for all that you do for the city of Memphis. And as the director of Elmwood likes to say, Elmwood is really like a patchwork quilt of Memphis history, and it's such a beautiful place. I hope that y'all all get to come visit soon. If you have any questions for me, you're welcome to message me on Facebook, Julie McCullough, or you can message me on my Instagram page at This Place in History. Thanks so much, and y'all be safe and be well.